What's up, friends, fellow card collectors? Card Obvious here, and today we'll be getting into binder bites once again. Um, I decided to rearrange my binders because that's what I always do. I always have a organizational system, and then I change it. So it's not much of a system if you're constantly changing it. But yeah, the way I had my Hall of Fame binders before was I had my player, and then those players' cards were separated by year and set or what have you. Um, I decided just to go back to where I had it originally and just do it by year. So, uh, yeah, it's a lot of rearranging, it's a lot of sorting, but that's the kind of fun organizing part of collecting is kind of that fun, meditative, calming, uh, working on your own little segment of the nerd world in your own little personal world where you're organizing your collection. But that's what I did. So we're gonna be doing some binder bites. I'll probably record like a while of these, or a run of these, and then I'll chop them up into smaller videos because I want to keep them bite sized, hence binder bites. But yeah, so you know, this isn't gonna be like an hour long video going through a binder. I'm gonna chop it up to where it's like a few pages. Try to keep everything under like 10 minutes at least. Uh, ideally under 5, but under 10 minutes. It all depends on how much I'm doing what I am doing right now, which is rambling. So let's just go ahead and get into it. We're gonna start the binders. Once again, these are by year. My binders are separated by kind of like the base cards and inserts and like common cards, and then I got my minis separated, my autographs separated, my memorabilia or like mem cards, relic cards, manu patches, what have you, separated, and like serial number cards separated. So all that'll be after the whole run of Hall of Fame base cards and normal insert sets, the common stuff. And we'll get into like, the cooler stuff, I guess you could say. But they're all cool to me. So let's just go ahead and get into it. We're going to start off with a 1960 Topps Casey Stengel manager card. Good old Casey Stengel, Hall of Fame manager of the Yankees, won all those World Series. Considered one of the greatest managers ever, but he did have some powerhouse teams. And then we got the 64 Topps Eddie Matthews. And then the 64 Topps Joe Torre with the Milwaukee Braves. And then we got Phil Niekro on the 66 Topps. I think 66 was the first year that Atlanta had the team. And then we got the 67 Topps Joe Torre. There's Joe Torre's not in the Hall of Fame for being a player, even though he was a very good player. In fact, I think he won an MVP one year. But he's in the Hall of Fame thanks to being the manager that won some World Series with the Yankees. And then this is a Ed Matthews, aka Eddie Matthews, in 1968 Topps. This is when he was on the Tigers towards the end of his career. And then we got a 68 Topps Rod Carew with the All-Star selection. And then a 68 Topps Fergie Jenkins on the 68 Topps. I think Scott at Reindeer Studios actually sent me this card as a Christmas gift, which is awesome because Scott's awesome. And then we got a 1969 Decollage Bob Gibson. 1969 Decollage Bob Gibson with a random dog hair on it. Another one on the bottom here. Yeah, so like when I got back into collecting back in 2019, when I got back into collecting for like the third time, I bought that Decollage at a local card store. Probably overpaid a bit for it, but you know what? It was just, like I wanted a vintage Hall of Fame card. I didn't have any when I got back in because I didn't collect Hall of Famers before. I only collected Braves and Dolphins. And then I purged all my stuff, but I never really had vintage Hall of Famers. So let's get on to page 2 here. We got a 1969 Series 2 checklist. Mr. Bob Gibson on it. I think this checklist, nope. There's some marks on this checklist showing that whoever had this had Bob Gibson and I can't read that other name. It's like it says Tam Trash or something like that. Either way, let's move on. We got the 1970 Topps Hoyt Wilhelm and the 1970 pitching leaders with Seaver, Necro, Jenkins, and Juan Marichal. So 4 Hall of Famers on that card. The Earl Weaver from 1970. And then we got the Phil Necro, the Juan Marichal. And then on 71, we got Steve Carlton. This one's got a big old crease in it. I think I pulled that out of a repacked wax. And then we got the Al Kaline and the Earl Weaver from 71. Sometimes my autofocus has a mind of its own. All right, moving on to 1972, we got the Harmon Killebrew in action card, Killer. And then we got the ERA leaders from the American League with Vida Blue, Wilbur Wood, and Jim Palmer. Jim Palmer is the only Hall of Famer on this list. I believe some people have made the argument for Vida Blue to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know too much about Vida Blue's career, so I know he played a long time and was pretty good. So yeah. And then we got the Orlando Cepeda with the Braves. Of course, he was more known for playing with the Giants. But Orlando Cepeda with the Braves. And then we got a Boyhood Photos of the Stars with Joe Torre. Joe Torre looking like the young Henry Hill on Goodfellas. With Joe Torre Boyhood Photos of the Stars from 72. And then we got the Billy Williams in action. And then 73, we got Don Sutton. We got the earned run leaders from each league here. If it'll focus. Steve Carlton and Louis Tiant. 198 ERA and a 191 ERA. It's pretty good. Of course, it was very much more of a pitcher's league back then. Hitting was a lot tougher. And then we got Rod Carew here on the 73. Cool card. And then the Fergie Jenkins on the 74. Fergie Jenkins with the Rangers. Showing a little hat hair there. Fergie Jenkins.